Fans think a completely unexpected rival could be coming up soon for Becky Lynch. We'll also check out the latest for the Bloodline, Jey Uso, and more. Starting things off with everything related to Becky Lynch because she has a lot of storylines and potential feuds revolving around her at the moment. The big obvious feud for Becky in recent weeks has been her ongoing issues with AJ Lee. AJ returned to deal with Becky Lynch, considering how Becky was annoying her husband CM Punk and putting hands on him. All of that also led to AJ making Becky Lynch tap out during that mixed tag team match. So considering AJ got Becky to tap out, that led fans to believe that AJ would get a shot at the Women's Intercontinental title and have her first singles match since returning against Becky Lynch. That appeared to be the most obvious path and direction, but we're still kind of waiting for that story to kick off. When AJ returned, a lot of fans assumed it would be a one-off match return, considering her busy schedule. But the word on their street that was being reported was that AJ was back on a full-time basis with her new deal. So that had fans excited, but AJ herself hasn't been seen since WrestlePalooza in mid-September. A lot of fans thought AJ would return this week for a last-second reveal of adding Becky versus AJ to the Crown Jewel card, but that did not end up happening. So we'll have to see if that AJ and Becky match has a shot of happening now at Survivor Series. But Becky is surely staying busy, even with AJ currently away from television. Becky has found herself in some new recent issues with Maxxine Dupri, and this is something that Becky has done earlier in the year as well. But when things aren't really going her way, her heel character tends to pick on rookies like Maxxine Dupri, because Becky assumes newcomers like that don't really have a shot against her. So when Becky's frustrated, she tends to call out superstars like that to let some of that frustration out. So those two stars met on Raw in a non-title match, and it was a very entertaining match, and one of the biggest takeaways from the match is most definitely Maxxine Dupri's skills and her massive improvement. If you've been keeping up with Maxxine on social media, you know she is absolutely obsessed and devoted to getting better in the ring. She's always spending time with Natalya and practicing in the dungeon, and all that recent training can definitely be seen throughout the match against Becky Lynch. Maxxine Dupri would end up technically defeating Becky Lynch via countout, but the matter in how the countout came to be is a little controversial. Tensions were definitely high between Becky and the referee, Jessica Carr, during that Monday Night Raw match. So when Jessica Carr is witnessing Becky just ignoring her count, it looks like Jessica just becomes so fed up with Becky that Jessica does a fast count for her final few numbers of the countout. Jessica Carr calls for the bell, and Maxxine is labeled as the winner. And later that night, Becky is seen once again ranting to her husband Seth Rollins, this time about her match and how Jessica Carr is the most crooked and corrupt referee that the company has. Becky also noted that she ended up skipping out on their trip to Australia, basically out of protest for all the corruption happening with the referees right now. And surprisingly enough, this is not the first time Becky Lynch has had an issue with Jessica Carr. Jessica Carr just happened to be the referee for Becky's mixed tag team match at WrestlePalooza as well. And following that match, Becky did take to social media to call out Jessica Carr for being a biased referee, and claiming that Jessica Carr was definitely on AJ and Punk's side since she was always a big fan of them. Becky even provided some evidence showing photos of Jessica Carr meeting CM Punk as a fan, and a recent photo of them posing together backstage. So strangely enough, Becky Lynch pretty much has quite a full feud developing with WWE referee Jessica Carr of all people. Becky's argument against Jessica for WrestlePalooza may be a bit weak, but Becky's argument against her for that countout loss is pretty valid because you can watch it over again. Jessica Carr definitely hit Becky with an extremely fast count there towards the end. So Becky may sound crazy from time to time and have some crazy conspiracies always floating around, but she's not crazy here. It was a fast count. So that has fans wondering where in the world could this story head to next. Well, as many fans already know, Jessica Carr is not only a referee, she's also a pro-trained wrestler herself. So fans are definitely wondering if all these recent situations could lead towards Becky actually putting her hands on Jessica Carr with a physical attack. And everyone's also wondering if that could lead towards Jessica Carr versus Becky Lynch. Jessica Carr is an experienced pro wrestler, so if this is a story they want to go with, it's technically within the realm of possibility. So Becky may have issues going on right now with Maxxine and AJ, but strangely enough, don't fall asleep with Becky's issues with WWE referee Jessica Carr, because all signs seem to indicate that something's surely brewing there, and fans are very curious to see where that all goes. The OG bloodline is back together on television, and they have a big ongoing narrative at the moment that mostly revolves around Jey Uso and his mental state. Jey Uso hasn't been himself in recent memory. He's aggressive, he's starting to strike first, and he no longer cares for anyone that's outside of his family, which are all traits Roman Reigns started to have in 2020. So there's a lot of comparisons there between Jey and Roman. But there was a few recent moments backstage that advanced this story on Raw, as Jimmy Uso is speaking to Roman about the vision and saying how we, meaning the Usos, will be there for Roman at Crown Jewel. Jey rudely cuts Jimmy off, and instead of saying, "We got you," Jey says, "I got you." It's definitely disrespectful to his brother Jimmy. It's Jey basically saying that he can't really count on his brother Jimmy to do the right thing there, so that's why Jey changed the "we" to "I." Jey just has no faith in Jimmy at the current moment. But Roman denies needing Jey's help and tells him to stay hyper-focused on his solo goals of owning every room he walks into. Roman did bring up how CM Punk is talking at the top of the hour, and how Jey Uso isn't booked to speak. This little moment here definitely felt like a throwback to Roman and Jey's interaction from the Thunderdome days, where Roman would use his manipulation tactics like that to help motivate Jey Uso. This led to Jimmy and Roman getting a little moment together, where Roman confronted Jimmy Uso for being so against Jey, taking advice from him. Jey did take Roman's advice and headed out to the ring to interrupt CM Punk and LA Knight. LA Knight and CM Punk did take some shots at Jey, telling him to stick to the tag team titles and calling him Little Roman. Jimmy Uso tries getting in the way between Punk and Jey, but Jimmy's involvement accidentally gives Punk the perfect opportunity to strike first and take out Jey. Jey confronted Jimmy backstage for ruining the segment and going out there, and wondering if he was on CM Punk's side. Jimmy ends up responding to Roman's comments from earlier in the night as well, saying that he can see Roman using his old manipulation tactics to mess with Jey's head again. Roman argues that when Jey won that title, he became more like him and less like Jimmy. Roman explained that the best way for Jimmy to help Jey right now is for him to just get out of Jey's way. So that also continues a reoccurring theme here that keeps getting thrown in Jimmy's face, that Jimmy cannot relate to Jey and Roman's way of thinking because he never held a world title. So they keep promoting that idea that that's the main disconnection right now, that Jimmy just can't understand their headspace because he's never been on top of the mountain. And to top the whole night off, the Usos lost the tag team match against CM Punk and LA Knight, with Jey Uso getting pinned by his big rival now, LA Knight. So if you thought Jey was mad before, it looks like he will be absolutely fuming and livid during next week's episode of Raw, and it appears that Jimmy will be the one on the receiving end of that rage. And could the Usos keep everything cool there between them, or is it about to enter a pretty serious level here? Jimmy may not have the world title experience, but he's going to have to get close to the same mindset Roman and Jey are at right now, or else it looks like this reunion may be coming to a quick end. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.